New audiobooks every week. On the Books Aloud channel, you'll find the best works of classic and contemporary literature, absolutely free. Subscribe so you don't miss any new releases, and be sure to click the bell icon to get notifications as soon as new audiobooks are published.
Section 1 of The Setup by Joseph Moncure March, read by Ben Tucker. Pansy had the stuff, but his skin was brown, and he never got a chance at the middleweight crown. Mean as a panther, crafty as a fox, he could hit like a mule, and he knew how to box. A jungle jinx, with eyes like a lynx, a head like a bullet, and a face like the Sphinx. Battered, flat, massive, grim, always impassive. He was supple of build, graceful, trim, heavy above, with legs slim, compact, neat, light as a cat on his feet. His neck was solid, his arms were long, his bones were heavy, and his hands were strong. And whenever he moved, you could see the lithe muscles under his skin writhe. He was slick, quick, each movement was like a trick. In the ring he had the general habits of a black snake after a couple of rabbits. He got you nervous, you never knew just what the hell he was going to do. But he knew all about you. Lead with your left, you hit thin air. Throw in your right, his shoulder was there. Always an elbow, a wrist, a mitt. He knew what was coming before you hit. He slipped what he couldn't block. His blows were timed like a clock. He'd warm up slow. He'd let you go for maybe a couple of rounds or so. Then he'd start, one left, one right, and you'd wonder who told you you could fight. Clinch? Try and do it. It was over before you knew it. He'd carve you up like a leg of mutton and drop you flat with a sock on the button. Abrupt, emphatic, his fights were always dramatic. 2. He fought all comers, and he reached his prime, and he stayed there waiting, marking time. Now was his chance for the title, or never. Each month was vital. When you get that far, you either click or you go to pieces goddamned quick. His managers sweated. They did what they could. They schemed, and they wheedled. But it did no good. Months slid by. The title hung high. No pansies need apply. Some of the sporting pink papers raised a stink. They got sarcastic, biting, drastic, on the subject of champs that got the crown, and after they got it, then lay down. Come on, take a sniff at Pansy's glove. What was the champ so scared of? No box office attraction? Hell, they wanted action. Then, sudden disaster. A final hope blaster. The brass-knuckled hand of the law hung a hot one on Pansy's jaw. Dissection of his private life. Revealed he had an extra wife, and 3 scrawny brats living like sewer rats. Not guilty, Pansy pled. Guilty, the jury said. Elections were coming. The judge was firm. Pansy went up for a 5-year term. End of Section 1. Section 2 of The Setup by Joseph Moncure March. Time out. 10 years pass. Fighting bodies have gone to grass. Some lie under grass, rotten. Even their names have been forgotten. Fresh blood, new hopes, inside the old ropes. Kids that wet their short pants 10 years back get their chance. Giving, taking, champions in the making. A fighter's life is short at best. No time to waste, no time to rest. The spotlight shifts, the clock ticks fast. All youth becomes old age at last. All fighters weaken, all fighters crack, all fighters go, and they never come back. Well, so it goes. Time hits the hardest blows. End of Section 2. Section 3 of The Setup by Joseph Moncure March. Herman's Bar, a joint for sneaks, tin horn sports, and gutter sheiks. Dingy, grimy, dirty, dark, slimy. Stale beer, dead butts. The place stank to turn your guts. Filthy sawdust, greasy brass. Finger smears on every glass. Dusty tumblers standing stacked before a mirror badly cracked. Thin tin, colored signs advertising beers and wines. Hung dirt-crusted, fly-specked, rusted. Another room and back, smaller, quiet, black. Black, round tabletops, sticky damp from beer slops. Black chairs, board walls, overrun with pencil scrawls and pictures, photos, clipped from the Sunday rotos. Boxing bouts, steeplechases, speedy snaps from bike races, baseball kings in painful poses holding enormous wreaths of roses, big blonde bathing dames looking coy in gold frames. Higher things were not forgotten under a faded flag of cotton. Woodrow Wilson's narrow face stared 3/4 into space, cold, austere, a face above beer. 3 o'clock, the bar was crowded, dim lit, smoke shrouded. Dark figures slouched, stood, crouched. Above the damp wood, they spat, they drank, they huddled, flank to flank. Bottles flashed, trays banged, glasses clashed, a cash box clanged, ice rattled, corks popped, the siphons hissed, the beer caps hopped, spun, arched, dropped. Behind the bar, Herman, pompous, German, huge, an ox, 6'4" in his socks, square head, face red, pitted with smallpox, lumpy nose, under it curled a black mustache with the ends twirled, and down on his damp forehead sat one black curl pasted flat. 2. The smoke swirled, the door swung wide. A couple of shivering, watery-eyed, red-nosed customers blew inside. Meet this pair, 2 of the worst, and sew your shirt to your back first. The little skinny one is Cohen. Look at his face, let him alone. Gray complexion, loose skin, nose like a beak, no chin. Gray bulging eyes, cold, glassy, wise. His mouth was red, puffy, slack, with one of the corners hooked back. Out of this corner drooped a wet, smoldering Turkish cigarette. Diamond horseshoes stuck in his tie, derby cocked over one eye. Cheap, shabby, dirty-looking, flabby. The bird with him was Ed McPhail. He looked like something lost in the mail. Dirty, battered, fringed, tattered, yellow-tinged. Pig's eyes close together, skin like rusty shoe leather. Yellow teeth, hair like straw, a rat-trap mouth and a lantern jaw. Dour, sour, a rare Scotch flower. They were cheap managers, lice of the ring. God help the fighters on their string. They framed 'em, set 'em up, double-crossed. No matter who won, they never lost. Conscience? So as a snake got hips. Cohen and McPhail, the perfect gyps. They squeezed to the rail. Cohen blew his nose. He cleared his throat. His thin voice rose. "How they hanging, Herman?" he said. Herman looked up. He nodded his head. He came forward without haste, wiping big hands on his aproned waist. Solid, stolid, he eyed the 2. "Tony Morelli was looking for you." "Yeah, they said in chorus.
Tony looking for us?
Yeah, said Herman. He's out and back. He jerked his thumb, plunged a stack of dirty glasses into gray rinsing water, turned away, face blank, polite, but his lips were clamped tight. They went in back. Tony was there at a corner table, slouched in his chair. A small-time manager with big-time hopes, just beginning, but he knew the ropes. Hard as a sidewalk, a gutter snipe, one of the swarthy, loudmouth type. He started up as they came in, flashed them a thin, mirthless grin.
Where the hell have you boys been? Jeez, I'm gonna be late for a date with a hot floozy, but she can wait. A he-man, that's me. I treat 'em rough, see? Sit down, jeez, have a seat. Sit down and take a load off your feet.
MacPhail looked sour, at loss for words. He hated these goddamn social birds. Hello, he muttered, and spat. He pulled out a chair and sat. But Cone had manners. He held out his hand. His air was familiar, gracious, bland.
Well, he said, so they're hanging high.
He winked a cold fish-like eye. His grin was knowing, sly. He shook his head.
You're some boy, Tony. Where you get it from? Macaroni? Mein Gott, what lousy weather.
He sat down, rubbed thin hands together.
Gus,
yelled Tony. The waiter appeared, red, perspiration smeared.
What's yours?
Said Tony in a sporting voice. 2 whiskey sours seemed their choice.
2 whiskey sours and a beer, and make it dark, here.
They settled back, lost in thought, waiting until the drinks were brought. Cone looked around. 2 tables beside the one they had were occupied. At one, 3 crouching figures sat. One of these sat without a hat. Skull hairless, gray, face the same way. His voice was muffled, low, hoarse. He looked angry, spoke with force, and while he spoke, his quick eyes kept watching the room sidewise. Elbows out, the others bent towards him, sullen-faced, intent. In the opposite corner slumped a pair of heavy tarts with bleached hair. Open fur coats displayed threadbare linings, ripped, frayed. This summer frocks with blue underwear showing through. Big breasts, wide hips, loose mouths with red lips. Short skirts, crossed knees, 10 inches above these. Sheer stockings ended in a glimpse of garter and white skin. Slowly they smoked, slowly they drank. Silent, faces white, blank, stared at nothing with eyes of stone. They damn well chose to be let alone. Cone studied their legs with glazed eyes. Veins in his forehead began to rise. He smacked his lips, winked, said,
There's 2 I wouldn't kick out of bed.
Ah, said Tony,
they ain't so hot. Beef to the heels. What have they got? Jeez, you ought to see my skirt. She makes them look like so much dirt.
Yeah, said MacPhail. He looked depressed. He fumbled in the lower pocket of his vest, pulled out a knife, began to pare his yellow nails with care. The drinks arrived on a rusty tray. MacPhail closed his knife, put it away. The drinks were placed. Gus withdrew.
Well, said Tony, here's looking at you.
The glasses rose. They drank. They sighed. The glasses sank. Tony hunched forward, wary-eyed. He cocked his head to one side.
Say, by the way, you've heard of this bird named Gray? Sailor Gray?
Cone looked at MacPhail. Their faces stiffened and their eyes went stale. Cone shook his head. MacPhail looked dim. No, who the hell ever heard of him?
Ah, give that hi-hat stuff the air. You don't know Gray? Jeez, what a pair. He's a fighter, see? He fights in the ring. He's goddamn good, and he's on my string." "Yeah?" said Cone. "You're telling me such? Well, I don't get around so much. A fighter, eh? Say, that's slick. Who the hell did he ever lick?"
He chuckled faintly. He took a drink. He gave MacPhail a broad wink. Tony's ears burned. He tried to look unconcerned.
"Ah, hell. Nuts to you. You don't kid me like you think you do. Cut this kiddin' stuff. See, I ain't got time enough."
MacPhail blinked. Cone looked resigned.
"Well," he said, "what's on your mind?"
Tony frowned. His voice turned gruff.
"The kid's okay, see? He's got the stuff. But you know, and I know, that ain't enough. The best man wins, like hell," said Tony. "That stuff is all so much baloney." "Well, nuts to that, too. Listen, here's what I want to do. 1 year more, Gray'll be set, but I ain't taking no chances yet. He'll do big time, but he's gotta be nursed. The kid's gotta have his record first. He's won 12 fights out of 12 this season. 10 of 'em's KOs, and there's a reason. Now, listen, I got him booked for a fight. The Star Arena next Monday night. 6-round bout. It's a damn good thing. How's it for somebody off your string?"
"Yeah?" said MacPhail. Cone pushed back his hat.
"Well, we might do something at that."
He scratched his head, pursed his lips, drummed on the table with his fingertips. Tony grew taut with a sudden thought.
"Listen," he said. "I know the bloke. This nigger you got, this old-time smoke. You know who I mean."
His eyes met Cone's.
"Yeah," said Cone. "You mean Pansy Jones."
3. 10 minutes later, they rose.
"Okay," said Tony. "That goes. Star Arena, Monday night. Geez, you're a couple of gyps, all right. $60. Geez. Oh, well, it's an okay setup. So, what the hell?"
They started out. Cone went last. He paused, grinned at the tarts as he passed.
"Oh, baby," he said, clucking his tongue. "Them two would make a mummy feel young."
They stiffened. They sat on guard. Their eyes were hostile, hard. One of them raised her head. She spoke hoarsely through blue, leaking smoke.
"Yeah, take a walk or I'll bust your snout."
Her eyes flamed. Cone hurried out. End of Section 3. Section 4 of The Setup by Joseph Moncure March. The Star Arena reeked with age. It smelled like the bottom of a monkey cage. Dark, stark, it stood immense between small shops and tenements. Gloomy, dim, sinister-looking, grim. A glittering white arc light glared against the black night, making great shadows sprawl over the crumbling brown wall and bringing out the rigid shapes of long, slanting fire escapes. Under this lamp a crowd stirred, wading through darkness, ghostly, blurred. In high relief, sharp, weird, parts of human forms appeared. Shoulders jostled, light splashed. Hats stuck out, dented, gashed. Wrinkles made black cracks across yellow, swaying backs. Faces nodding, turned and talk, were masks cut from white chalk. Mouths were holes, eye sockets, looked like deep black pockets. The crowd shivered above their heads. Their breaths rose in white shreds. They grumbled, they swore, they edged towards the main door. Slowly they stumbled up the wide, unseen steps and pushed inside. Tickets were torn in two. God, they were through. 2. Side entrance down the street. A small group clustered there, shivering in the cold air, swayed, stamped their feet. Gloomy inside, dim lit, dusty, bare as an old barn, echoing, musty. Vestibule stacked with chairs, a pit of dark rickety stairs, deep, steep, black as a coal heap. Restless figures prowled about, shuffled, pulled their watches out, hung around in twos and threes, cold, impatient, ill at ease. Down the stairs, knots of bent, cautious-footed figures went. At the bottom of the long, creaking flight, a dirty bulb smeared the wall of a long hall with yellow light. Under the light, on a tin sign, was a pointing hand, red on white, badly drawn in outline. In heavy raised letters of red, dressing rooms, the sign said. 3. The dressing rooms in the old Star had gone out of date with the horse car. They were lousy dumps, two of a kind. Enter, and leave the kiddies behind. A dirty bulb swung by a cable over a battered rubbing table. The crude glare fell on bare, gleaming flesh and underwear. Open trousers bagged, sagged, shirt tails flopped, belts dragged, backs bent down, flushed faces scowled over shoelaces. Shoes thumped, knees rose, fingers clawed at sweaty hose with holes in their toes. Behind, a row of lockers stood, old, battered, made of wood, hinges loose, locks rusted, doors with half their slats busted. Yes, real antiques, used by them ancient Greeks. Another antique, the toilet, no modern touch to spoil it. Pitch black, you had to go in with your nose done up in a clothespin. Wash your hands, have a drink. Observe this handsome stopped-up sink. Here is your shower. It's on the fritz. If you don't like it, move to the Ritz. Go in like a little man. Come out as quick as you can. Trust to your smell instead of your sight, and be goddamned thankful there is no light. There were handlers in the dressing room, sweatered, capped, water splashed, a bucket banged, bath towels flapped. Some of the handlers lounged at ease. They sat with their elbows on their knees, parked on a bench with stenciled black numbers spaced across its back. It was almost time for the first bout. They kept pulling their watches out. They'd give the watch a glance, shove it back in their pants, then pull it out again, as if in doubt. No air, hot as hell. The room reeked with a triple smell. Toilet disinfectant, blent with stale sweat and liniment. 4. One lad was ready. He sat still, white-lipped. He looked ill. A faded purple dressing gown hung from his shoulders, sagging down. His eyes were narrowed. He sat there tense, face white, drawn with suspense. He licked his lips, stared at the bands of white tape that covered his hands. A second went over, grimly gay. "Well, how you feeling, kid? Okay?" The lad nodded his head. "Sure. Okay," he said. His breath came quickly. His smile was sickly. A sudden spasm, he shook. His eyes had a glazed look. He leaped up, covered his mouth, ran with his head bowed for the door of the can. The second grinned at the rest of the bunch. "Jeez, the kid is losing his lunch." Their eyes narrowed, stared. They smiled with their teeth bared. "Yeah," said one, watching the door. "I seen him pull that stunt before."
"Yeah," said the second. "The kid's all right. He's nervous. See? It's his first fight."
The lad came out. His ears flamed. He slunk to his chair, sat there, ashamed. A bald-headed, thin, sweatered man rushed in. He stopped, glared, scowled. "Hey, McMullen," he howled. The kid stood up, shaking, pale. "Take the lead out of your tail! Why the hell don't you keep awake? They're waiting for you, for Christ's sake!" His handlers stirred. They rose. "All right, kid, on your toes." The kid nodded. He tried to smile. They went through the door in single file. 5. Footsteps out in the hall. 2 shadows sprang on the wall. The footsteps paused, scraped, shuffled. 2 voices came through the door, muffled. For a minute they argued in undertones. A face peered in. The face was Cone's. Over his shoulder blinked MacPhail, sour, grim as a rusty nail.
"Hi there, Louie."
"Hi there, Max." 2 lounging handlers straightened their backs.
"Hi,"
they said. Each raised a hand. They uncrossed legs, prepared to stand. Cone and MacPhail came through the door. They stopped, spat on the dusty floor. They looked around, frowned.
"Where the hell is Pansy gone?"
One of the handlers stifled a yawn.
"Oh, I don't know,"
he said. "He ain't here yet." Cone appeared upset.
"God damn that smoke! He's always late. I'll ball the hell out of him, just wait."
The handlers were silent. They stared out toward the opposite wall, completely bored. Louis, a blond, expressionless Swede, pulled out a tabloid and started to read. Across the room, a fighter stood bent, lacing his shoe, scowling, intent. His foot was up on the edge of the table. He balanced, stork-like, unstable. Something snapped. His foot fell.
"There goes the goddamn shoestring to hell."
He paused, shaking-handed. Slowly his chest expanded, then,
"Christ almighty, for Jesus' sake!"
His voice rose shrill, started to break. His neck and ears grew stained with red. He lifted clenched hands above his head. He stood there, glaring, swearing. His second watched from the other side of the rubbing table, narrow-eyed.
"Watch it, kid."
His voice was steady. "Come on now. You gotta get ready.
Forget the shoestring. That's all right. Let's have your hands. We ain't got all night."
From far off, the echo of a roar drifted in through the open door. Cone cocked his head, listened.
"They started."
His eyes glistened. 6. A figure loomed on the door sill, paused for a moment, stood there still. Across heavy shoulders spread a checked suit, black and red, under sharply creased pants. God knows whose, cracked evening shoes, shone with battered elegance. Yellow gloves, no overcoat, green muffler around his throat. Over his nose, a rakish brown, long-visored cap was pulled down, and under one arm some lumpy thing was wrapped in newspaper tied with string. Lynx eyes glinted, took in the place. White teeth flashed in a dark bronze face. Cone raised a flabby hand. He gave the smiling figure a jerky wave.
"Hi there, Pansy. Where you been? We thought you got lost. Come in, come in."
Pansy came in with a slow stride, steady, unhurried, dignified. Gravely he smiled. He bowed his head. "Good evening, Mr. Cone," he said. His manner was gracious, polite, diffident, carefully right. He turned to MacPhail, repeating the same impressive greeting. MacPhail started to tip his hat, decided not to, blinked, spat. Louis and Max rose. They stretched. They swayed on their toes.
"Hi, Pansy,"
they yawned in a friendly tone. "How do," said Pansy. His white teeth shone. He was more at his ease with birds like these. They seemed to talk a language he knew, and he felt somehow that they liked him too. 7. He started to get undressed. Off came his coat and vest. He stood there blazing in a rainbow shirt, so loud it would make your eardrums hurt.
"Some shirt,"
said Cone. He winked at MacPhail.
Where you get it, kid? At a fire sale?
He giggled, tongue in his cheek. Cone had a whimsical streak. Pansy paused with his belt unbuckled. He glanced back over his shoulder, chuckled. Off came his pants. He began to fold them carefully. His link eyes rolled. Yes, sir, he said. That shirt am grand. A hell of 4 aces in my hand. Got this shirt, got this cap. Poker suits me better than crap. Yes, sir, he added. He tugged at his tie. I sure is lucky, and that's no lie. Again that echo of a roar, longer, louder than before.
Come on,
snapped a voice.
What do you say?
A group started for the doorway. The man who'd broken his shoelace led, eyes like slits, out-thrust head. He snarled to himself with teeth set tight. He looked as though he would bite. 8. MacPhail nudged Cone. He scowled. Let's go upstairs, he growled. He bit off a nail, started to eat it.
Well,
said Cone,
I guess we'll beat it.
Pansy looked up from a shoelace. Cone's eyes swerved, avoided his face.
Purple tights for you,
Cone said. He pushed his derby back on his head. Hands in his pockets, he wavered there, swaying a little with a thoughtful air. He jerked, bent at the knees, straightened, jangled some keys. He nodded to himself. He stopped swaying.
Well,
he said.
What was I saying? The purple tights, yes. Well, that's all I guess. 3 4s, 1 6, and then you bout. You ought to knock this sailor out. He's easy, see? Just watch his right. But what the hell, you know how to fight.
Yes, sir, said Pansy. His teeth shone. Yes, sir, thank you, Mr. Cone. Cone smiled. His smile was rigid, non-committal, frigid.
Well then,
he said.
They're all set. Just watch his right now. Don't forget.
MacPhail gave a rasping cough. Cone turned. They shuffled off. 9. They paused outside in the hall, stood leaning against the wall. MacPhail spoke. His voice was low. You don't think we ought to let him know? A match flared. Cone started a smoke.
Say, what the hell is this? Some joke? Let him know what, for Christ's sake?
He put out the match with a savage shake. Well, said MacPhail, it's nothing to me. But Morelli's paid for a sure thing, see? If we told the smoke it was fixed that way, he'd throw it a fight, and we'd be okay. Split the 60, give him a share, and the sailor cops it fair and square. As it stands now, if the sailor lost, Tony might think he was double-crossed.
You're kidding, said Cone, with tremendous scorn. God almighty, you don't know you're born. Why, Jesus Christ, you don't deserve. I should make you answer. Where is your nerve? Only $60 we got. Split with that nigger? I should say not. Listen, I saw this Gray in the gym. Pansy won't stay 2 rounds with him. They'll carry that nigger out of the ring, with his eyes shut and his guts in a sling. You with your fairs and squares, God, you give me gray hairs. Where would you be if it wasn't for me? Come on, we're going upstairs. 10. Pansy peeled off purple socks with holes for heels and yellow clocks. 1-piece underwear, no shirt, gym pants, edges gray with dirt. Where the buttons had been was a safety pin. This he unclipped, off they slipped. He kicked them aside and stood up stripped. 10 years had got their claws in him. He looked too sleek, no longer trim. Heavier too, verging on fat. But the real change seemed deeper than that. It was something inside, hard to detect. Not here, not there. The general effect. As though some taut string had been cut, and the whole works had loosened somewhat. No longer that look of bronzed metal. His flesh had started to soften, settle.
and it gave the impression that if he got one good hard poke, it would hurt a lot. Max and Louis watched with wise, critical, appraising eyes. No remarks. Still, you could sense their cool, detached indifference. This nigger was through, they knew. Why didn't he know it too? Christ almighty, he ought to have quit long ago and been done with it. But here he was, half on the shelf and still trying to kid himself. Well, if he found it satisfying, why the hell should they burst out crying? Said Max. "You're looking good tonight," said Pansy. "Boy, I feels just right." 11. Voices in the hall, feet drumming. It sounded like the Mexican army coming. In they streamed, jostling each other. It must have been everybody and his brother. They should have had a band and the mayor's committee waiting to give them a key to the city. Managers, handlers, Christ knows what, led by a swaggering, tough little mutt. This pasty-faced little bantam was dressed in a wallpaper suit and a bartender's vest. He was full of himself. He scowled when he talked. If you tied his elbows, he couldn't have walked. He stuck out his chest and sucked in his guts. You gathered he thought he was just the nuts. Pansy stared, and his lynx eyes widened to twice their natural size. "Why for this big crowd come in here?" Louis's lips twisted in a sneer.
That's Batlin Kavinsky. He's having it out with a kid named Horowitz, feature bout.
"Oh," said Pansy, enlightened. He nodded. His face brightened. "If that boy fights like he kin dress, he's big-time stuff, or I miss my guess."
Yeah, sneered Louis. Him, big time? He ain't got the edge on a worn-out dime. He's nothin', see? He ain't even the smell off a piece of cheese. He's yellow as hell.
Pansy shook his head, sad. "Yellow," he said. That's too bad." "Yes, sir, that's bad." He looked distressed. "But boy, that sure am a handsome vest." His voice was wistful. His bronze face took on a childish, plaintive, far-off look, as though he could see in his mind's eye the vests he might have been able to buy. God, what vests! A vest a day, if only the breaks had come his way. He shook his head, sighed, bewildered, mystified. He took up his bundle, snapped the strings, unwrapped it, took out his fighting things. An old wool bathrobe, shabby, faded, smelling of stale sweat, moth-invaded. Battered shoes, 2 sets of tights, tattered and stained by many fights. 1 red and black pair, 1 purple pair. He wore the color he was told to wear. The purple tights, Cone said. He discarded the black and red. He stared at the tights he had to don, then slowly he bent. He drew them on. 12. Halfway through, lacing a shoe, Pansy paused. He cocked his head. "Boy, listen at that crowd," he said. Louis yawned.
That's the second bout. Wonder how that kid McMullen made out. Lost his lunch before you came. Nervous as hell, but the kid looked game.
Pansy grunted, busy with his feet. "Must be he done it something sweet. Never eat sweet before a fight. Lay off sweet stuff. You'll be all right." "Yes, sir, that's so. Sweet's bad for a fighter. I know." Again the sweatered, thin, bald-headed man rushed in.
Third bout, he barked. Munsey on deck.
Munsey got up. Christ, what a wreck. You could tell at a glance he hadn't a chance, this hulking, raw-boned, lumbering lout with his knees knocking and his feet splayed out. He should have been pushing a rusty plow, feeding the chickens, or milking a cow. You looked, and you wondered why in Christ's name he ever had gone in the fighting game. What a beating the game had shown him. His own mother wouldn't have known him. Battered for years, his face had grown distorted, massive, swollen of bone. Cauliflower ear, coconut head, close-cropped hair, bristling, red. His nose was flat, dented by a scar as though he had been hit with an iron bar, and his bumpy forehead overhung two deep sunken eyes of faded blue. The eyes were sleepy, mild, like those of a stupid child. He stood there swaying with his eyes glazed, staring around him as though he were dazed.
"Snap out of it, Munsey,"
a second advised. He started a little as though surprised. "All right," he muttered. All right. Don't hurry me, see, I'm fighting this fight." He mumbled to himself for a second more, then turned sharply, walked towards the door. His walk was jerky, his knees sagged. He bent at the middle and his feet dragged. He walked on his heels with his head sunk. The game had got him. He was punch drunk. 13. He was no sooner out than McMullen came in, cocky as hell with a 10-inch grin. His lips were puffed, a red smear streaked on cheek from eye to ear. Just under the eye was an oozing cut, and the eye was swollen, beginning to shut. "How'd you come out?" called Max. "Did you nail him?" The kid nodded. Words seemed to fail him. He flushed a little, shy, grinning, bright of eye. Behind him, his handlers grinned at the kid.
"Nail him? Jesus, I'll say he did. KO'd him clean at the end of the third. A right to the button. Jeez, what a bird."
Smiles, nods.
"That's the stuff." "That's the way, kid. Treat 'em rough."
Kavinsky spoke with a lofty air.
"How much of a crowd they got up there?"
"Oh," said McMullen. He looked down, scratched his head with a puzzled frown.
"Crowd? Jesus, I don't know. I guess it must be a big one, though."
Kavinsky sneered, scornful-eyed. He sniffed loudly. He turned aside. McMullen second called, beckoned. He gave the rubbing table a smack.
"Come on over here on the table, Mac."
On the top of the rubbing table, a gray overcoat and hat lay. The handlers started to move them away.
"Hey," snapped Kavinsky, "give that the air. Say, what the hell are you doing there? Leave that be, that's my stuff, see?"
"Yeah," said the handler with a long sneer.
"Well, get it the hell away from here. Christ, you act like a movie star. Who the hell do you think you are?" "Put them down," said Kavinsky, loud. "Put them down before you get sloughed."
Silence for a second. The handler turned white. His eyes glittered and his lips grew tight. Then calm, quiet, without a word more, he threw the hat and coat on the floor.
"Christ!"
yelled Kavinsky, like someone had stabbed him. He jumped for the handler, but his own men grabbed him.
"Let go, goddammit," Kavinsky said. "I'll push his face through the back of his head. I'll break the goddamn face off him, see? He can't get away with that stuff with me."
He blustered, began to tug and squirm, but the handlers held his elbows firm.
"Oh, easy, kid. Put down your mitts. Oh, easy. Save it for Horowitz."
He kept up the show for a minute or so, then stopped.
"All right,"
he growled. "Let go." They let him go. He turned away, face sullen, sulky, gray. He went to a corner and sat there, running gray hands through his greasy hair. He had a martyred air. His gang clustered around, whispered, nodded, frowned. One or two of them sat down by him, craftily tried to soothe his pride, but nothing they said would pacify him. The rubbing table squeaked, creaked, slaps resounded, liniment reeked. McMullen lay on the table full length, wincing under his second's strength. The second's jaw stuck out like a shelf. He plucked and wrenched with his teeth clenched, and while he worked, he smiled to himself. The smile was ironic, sardonic. Over the room, a silence dropped, oppressive, expressive. Someone started to whistle through his teeth, cleared his throat, stopped. They sat, watched, narrow of eye. They nudged each other, and their grins were sly. Pansy winked. His eyes rolled. His teeth shone out, dull ivory and gold. "Boy," he whispered, That sure was fun. I wish that handler had socked him one. 14. 3 figures appeared. They all 3 tried to get through the doorway side by side. It was 2 handlers, and between them staggered the fighter who had broken his shoelace, white of face, haggard. They came in slowly. His arms were flung over their shoulders. He tottered, clung. His eyes were dilated, shot with red, unblinking, staring straight ahead. They led him to a bench. Down he slumped, elbows on his knees, shoulders humped. He sat there shaking all over, grasping his head in his hands, rocking, gasping. The handlers watched him a minute, perplexed, wondering what they should do next. One of them turned to the other, scowled. "Jesus, he looks pretty bad," he growled.
"Yeah," said the other. "He looks pretty white. That sock in the bread basket got him all right." "Jesus," he gave a short, grim laugh. "I thought it would break the kid in half."
"Yeah," said the first. His head shook. "How would you like to take what he took? Them hooks with the left." He clucked his tongue. "Boy, oh baby, I bet they stung."
"Yeah, and the right hooks over the hot. Jesus, the kid was cooked from the start."
"Yeah, when he started to mix with that Mick. I says to myself, he's up the crick. Don't mix, I told him. Don't mix, I said. Jab with your left to the face and head. But don't mix, see. Keep away from that guy. That guy was a slugger, see, that's why."
"Yeah."
They nodded. They looked wise. They stared at the fighter through half-shut eyes. He was getting better by slow degrees. He was quiet now. He sat caved in, doubled up like a hairpin, with his chest resting on his knees. His arms hung down. His clenched fists lay on the floor, taped to the wrists. Slowly, dark blood dripped from his nose and spattered the floor, just missing his toes. "How you feel, kid?"
"You coming around?"
Not a movement out of him. Not a sound. "Tried laying down. That might help some." His head shook slowly. He sat there dumb. "Well, take it easy. You'll be okay." They smiled grimly. They moved away. 15. Pansy was ready. He sat there quiet, staring at the light, doped by it. He sat hunched forward, settled, at ease, chin in his hands, elbows on his knees. His face was blank, grim in repose, and what he was thinking God only knows. Those lynx-like eyes, that skull without hair, gave him a savage, menacing air. He made you think of the missing link. He looked like something to catch and cage, like something that belonged in a jungle age. Suddenly his silence broke. His voice was rough, gruff when he spoke. "Hey, Louie," he said, without turning his head.
"What?"
said Louie, slightly annoyed. He was busy reading his tabloid. "Hey, Louie," said Pansy, staring at the light. "You ever seen this sailor fight?" A pause, while Louis finished half of a long, lurid paragraph. He turned the page with a hairy paw.
"Have I seen the sailor fight?"
"Nah." "Love nest victim," the headline said. His head bent further down. He read. 16. Coming from a distance, a drumming sound settled into a rhythmic pound. A thumping sound, steady, dull, like an engine down in a ship's hull. Upstairs, hundreds of angry feet were stamping out that heavy beat. The crowd was getting resentful, sore. They wanted action. They wanted gore. What had they paid good money for? Munsey was there, punch-drunk, slow. It couldn't have been such a lively show. Thump, thump. Give 'em the hook. Their feet pounded till the house shook. 17. The bald-headed, thin-sweatered man rushed in. His face was red. He looked unhappy.
"Fourth bout,"
he yelped.
"and make it snappy."
Up rose a swarthy, pig-faced giant. He looked surly. He looked defiant. He sneered, and his glittering eyes ran nastily over the bald-headed man. "Ah, nuts," he muttered. It seemed that the thin, bald-headed man got under his skin. For reasons unknown, he'd like to attack that yelping bastard and break his back. The victim-to-be glared. He didn't seem scared. "Hey," he yelped. "Snap out of your mope. Don't stand there looking like a goddamn dope." The giant's face grew darkly red. What the hell is your rush?" he said. He panted a little, stood there glaring, a little uneasy at his own daring. The ringman's eyes grew suddenly cold, his voice turned hard. "You do as you're told. You ain't nothing. I'm running this show. You do like I say, or out you go. Don't try to pull no fresh stuff, see? That kind of stuff don't pass with me." "Oh, hell," the giant muttered. "Oh, hell." He stood abashed. His eyes fell. He looked like a kid in grammar school, bawled out for breaking the silence rule. Out the ringman rushed. The giant followed, crushed. 18. Max watched them out. After they'd gone, he relieved himself of a tearing yawn. His spine curved in, his arms rose, flexed. "Well," he sighed, "I guess we're next." Pansy didn't say a word. He nodded a little to show he had heard. That was all. He just sat there, watching the light with that glittering stare. His eyes were slits, his breathing was deep. He looked as though he were almost asleep, except for his eyes. His eyes were too bright. They glinted like chips of glass in the light. 19. McMullen was dressed, ready to go. He stood there restless for a minute or so. He pulled out his watch, looked at the time, fumbled in his pocket, unearthed a dime. "Hey," he called to his handler. "Ed, you got 2 nickels for a dime?" he said. "I gotta make a call. Up the street." Ed grinned. His grin was knowing, discreet. He gave him the change in a friendly shove. "All right, kid, beat it, and give her my love." 20. The fighter who had mixed and come off badly was slowly dressing. He sat there sadly. One sock was on. He stared at space with a tired face. Haggard, wan. Kovinsky was full of himself again, querulous, noisy as a wet hen. Everything gathered its share of abuse. His tapes were too tight. His pants were too loose. His legs ached. His stomach felt queer. Something was funny inside of one ear. His knees had got stiff from some unknown source, and one arm had gotten a Charlie horse. If fights could be won on alibis, he could have licked somebody twice his size, and his crowd took it like you take your breath. They babied him, nursed him, yesed him to death. Not that they liked the little wet smack. They were anxious. They wanted their money back. 20. Munsey came lurching in like a souse. He looked like something from a slaughterhouse. His face was raw, one mass of welts. He must have taken some awful belts. One eye was closed. One ear was a wreck. The blood slid from it down the side of his neck. His mouth was formless, puffy, spread all over his face in a smear of red. Yes, indeed, he had lost his bout. But this time, for once, he had not been knocked out. This being the case, you could damn well tell that the other guy must have been lousy as hell. No wonder the crowd had torn its hair. That bout must have been a deadly affair. Anyway, Munsey didn't mind. He had some other axe to grind. "Let me alone," he muttered. "All right. You let me alone. Who's fighting this fight? That's all right. Don't try and tell me. You let me alone. I'm doing this, see?" Every other step he tried to jerk from the handlers that walked on each side. They were patient. They held his elbows tight. "Sure," they said. "Yeah, sure. That's right. Nobody's telling you how to fight." They winked at each other. "Crazy with the heat." "Yeah, that bastard's out on his feet." They set him down on the bench. With care, he muttered, swaying as he sat there. They slopped a wet sponge over his head. "He'll come out of this all right," one said. "Sure," said the other. with a crooked grin. Sure. The bald-headed man rushed in. 21.
Fifth bout,
He yelled in savage tones.
how about showing some speed, you Jones?
22. Pansy stirred, sighed. He stood up, blinking-eyed.
Come on, said Max. What do you say?
Louis put his paper away. Over his shoulders, Pansy flung his faded bathrobe. He held it wrapped closely around him. The sleeves flapped. They hung empty, swung. You got the gloves, Louis?
Okay.
All right, come on then. What do you say? They turned together, started for the door. The bucket jerked, slopped on the floor. Max stopped, shifted it, swore.
Ah,
Yelled Kavinsky. Don't you tell me. You don't know nothing about it, see?
all right, Munsey. That's all right, kid.
Sure he licked him, the hell he did.
Say what, where the hell is my hat gone to?
So he feigns with his left and then he breaks through.
Ah, you nuts, that fight was sold. If you hadn't have mixed, you'd have had him cold. What'll you bet?
I know, that's all. The voices grew jumbled. It was cold in the hall. End of Section 4. Section 5 of The Setup by Joseph Moncure March. Slibbervox recordings in the public domain. 5. They came up on the arena floor, in a back corner, near an exit door. Entered all of a sudden, the place seemed vast, dim, tremendous of space. It gave you the feel of something unreal. You shrank in size. Your wrists looked little. You stood there, feeling light and brittle. The place smelled like tin cattle cars mixed with the reek of cheap cigars. The crowd was a blur, a thing made mostly of hats and faces, shadowy, ghostly. Bobbing hats row on row with white faces bobbing below. A gallery jutted, its steep-pitched bank was crowded with faces, rank above rank. And around the edges of that crowd you saw the ominous blue and brass of the law. In the center of the floor the raised ring stood. Over it hung a metal hood. Light from this hood flung a savage glare over two figures fighting there. 2. The ringman came back, nodding his head.
Stay right there where you are, he said. This'll be over in about a minute.
Max lowered the pail, dropped the sponge down in it. Silent, the three of them stood a while, staring at the ring down the corner aisle. The figures in the ring were ponderous, slow. Neither seemed to have much to show. They crouched, circled, exchanged no blows. Each was waiting for the other to close. The crowd sat hushed. You could hear the muffled sound of the fighters' feet as they shuffled. Around and around them the referee went, head thrust out, knees bent. He crouched, watched, intent. Then, yelled a high, sarcastic voice.
For Christ's sake, get them ahoys! Get them ahoys! They're both of them dead!
Laughter, more voices.
Who's ahead? What you waiting for, changing the weather? Hey, do you two guys room together?
General laughter followed this crack. Heads turned around, faces peered back. From up in the gallery came the sound of heavy feet beginning to pound. The pair in the ring decided to close. They sprang in, slugging. A roar rose.
Jesus, said Louis. That guy hits low. Look at that. Didn't I tell you so?
One of the fighters staggered, dropped. He lay on the canvas, doubled up, grasping his guts with both hands, writhing, gasping. The roar sank, stopped. The referee sprang in, crouching low. He waved back the man who had struck the blow. Back to his corner this giant went, flushed, scowling, head bent. He walked with a skulky, aggressive air, trying to show how he didn't care. Foul! Foul! The crowd clamored. Handlers rushed in the ring. They began to work on the guts of the fallen man. A bell clanged, hammered.
He fouled him. Like hell. I did too.
The crowd began to hiss, boo. 4. The ring was cleared, the clamor died. Louis's elbow dug Pansy's side. Well, he said, here goes. Come on now, on your toes. Max lifted the bucket. Okay, he said. They went up the aisle in single file, with Pansy striding ahead. As they came into sight, a murmur swelled. There's a black cloud a-comin', somebody yelled. Appropriate laughter greeted this joke. Jesus, they murmured. Look at the smoke. Gonna be action this time. That's right.
Hey there, black boy. You know how to fight?
Crowds were to Pansy as heat is to hell. They suited him fine. They made him feel swell. His supple back stiffened, his blunt chin rose. He strutted a little on lively toes. There was gusto about him, an air, a swing. You almost expected a buck and wing. In the shadow of the ring, they came to a stop. Phew, Max said. He let the pail drop. Jesus Christ, he shook his head. That goddamn pail is heavy as lead. Ah, said Louis. Pulling your neck. You're nothing but a goddamn physical wreck. You'd think it was heavy from the line you pull. Why, Jesus Christ, it ain't half full. Yeah, said Max. Yeah, is that so? You ain't ever carried it. How can you know? Said Louis with tremendous scorn. I was carrying pails before you was born. Come around sometime, I'll show you how. I ain't got time to fool with you now. He chuckled, pulled out a deck of gum. He took out a slice. He offered Max some. Pansy? No, thanks. Louis put it away. Let's put on your gloves, kid. What do you say? How do they feel? Are they good and tight? Yeah, said Pansy. They feel all right. He stood there pushing his hands together, shoving each hand further into the leather. The announcer came up, fat, short, moon-faced, bald head, nose with a wart. How about it? You guys all set? Sure, said Max. Is the sailor here yet? Sure he's here. Get up in the ring. Get up in your corner. Let's start this thing. Okay, said Louis, expressionless, cool. Hit him, Max. Throw us that stool. He caught the stool with a deft swing. Let's go. They climbed up into the ring. 6. The crowd hummed. The crowd chattered. The smoke rose, drifted, scattered. Cheap seats. The crowd was tough. None of your hi-hat garden stuff. Gallery, $0.25. Ringside, $1. You risked your life in a wing collar. Evening clothes, try it. You'd have started a goddamn riot. Society women dressed to kill didn't go there for their evening thrill. No, this crowd had none of that. They looked like jailbirds out for a bat. They looked nasty. They looked vicious. Sullen-faced, hard, suspicious. A bunch of gangsters, to judge by looks. You felt there were gunmen there, and crooks. They talked, they laughed, they smoked their cigars, but tomorrow might find them behind the bars. And always behind them there strolled those 6 big burly cops swinging their sticks. Ominous-looking, restive, watchful, grimly suggestive. 7. Light glared down from the metal hood. Pansy sat waiting. He felt good. He liked the smell. He liked the bare gray canvas floor, the ropes, the glare. Once in the ring, he never felt yellow. He felt at home there, confident, mellow. Max and Louis were standing there with crossed feet and a patient air. They stood leaning back on either side, clutching the rope with their arms wide. They looked dopey. They looked dumb. They stood there silent, chewing their gum. 8. Suddenly, Gray appeared. A few hoarse voices cheered. The voices seemed to come from one spot. Some gang of Grays, likely as not. Gray ducked in through the ropes, sat down. He was bundled up in his dressing gown. It was pretty hard to see his build, but the dressing gown looked damn well filled. Pansy stared at what he saw. Bull neck, He-Man jaw, mouth like a slot, nose flat, green eyes like an alley cat. From just the little there was to be seen, Gray looked aggressive, and he looked mean. Something in Pansy grew suddenly tight. He felt he was in for a nasty fight. 9. Morelli came running down the aisle. His mouth was stamped with a mirthless smile. He reached the ring. He stood underneath, nervous, grinning, showing his teeth. He called to a handler.
Sam, come here.
Morelli whispered in the handler's ears.
Get me,
he said, backing away. The handler nodded. He climbed up towards Gray. Sam put his mouth down close to Gray's head.
I just been talking with Tony,
Sam said.
Tony, he says, the crowd is sore. They ain't had action enough before. See, Tony says, you better go slow. Lay off the nigger 2 rounds or so. Take it easy. Don't do him no dirt. See, give the crowd its money's worth.
Gray nodded a little, with narrow eyes. Okay, he said. Okay, I'm wise. The bell hammered, staccato, swift. The announcer's arm began to lift. He bellowed, mouth wide, turning from side to side. Ladies and gents! Ladies and gents! His voice roared out, echoed immense. The next bout of the evening will be...
What's that he says? Oh, don't ask me.
He paused, scowled at a card he held. His head jerked up, his chest swelled. A 6-round bout! Voices broke through.
Oh, go on. You're crazy with that heat. Get the hell out of there. That's my seat. How the hell did you get that way? You's...
In this corner, Sailor Gray! The sailor sprang halfway to his feet. He dodged to the left, regained his seat. Cheers.
My seat. Get out of here.
Go on, I'll give you a bust on the ear.
You and who else?
The reply was muffled. A chair scraped, feet shuffled. And in this corner... Matches flared. Smoke rose. Cigarettes were shared.
You're nuts,
rang out in savage tones. The announcer bellowed, Pansy Jones! Pansy half rose, bobbed left, bobbed right. His grin flashed out, golden and white.
Oh, Pansy, dear.
It was girlish, mocking. The house yelled. They sat there rocking.
Pansy? Jesus, what a name!
100 voices took up the game.
Whoops, Pansy. Come and be kissed.
Oh, Pansy Wansy.
Slap his wrist.
6 rounds, the announcer bawled. 6 rounds, both men, 160 pounds.
You must come over. Don't rape him, Gob.
Hey, where'd yous get that boyish bob?
Pansy? Jesus Christ. Oh, boy.
The crowd gasped, grew hoarse with joy. 11. The announcer ducked through the ropes, climbed down. Gray flung off his dressing gown. Pansy slipped out of the robe he wore. They shuffled their feet on the resined floor. Max picked Pansy's bathrobe up. All right, Pansy. Go get him, pup. All right, said the referee. What do you say? Pansy crouched forward, staring at Gray. The crowd grew out of focus, blurred, strangely remote, only half heard. He saw Gray sharp. He saw Gray clear, mouth like a slot, mouth with a sneer, sloping shoulders, neck like a steer. Nick, in his left ear. The referee crossed in between. Baggy gray trousers, his sweater was green. His face was cold, gray as a slug. He looked like an undertaker crossed with a thug. Pansy shifted, trying to see around the legs of the referee. 12. The bell clanged, broke the air with its sudden stroke. He saw Gray cross himself with a quick, double motion, a Catholic. From somewhere behind.
Go get him, pup!
His knees grew taut. He was standing up. Out towards the center of the ring he went, walking like a cat, wary, intent. There came Gray from the opposite side, crouching, aggressive, narrow-eyed. Their gloves touched, brushed. The crowd sat, hushed. Pansy's left swung low by his thigh. His right was close to his head, high. Everything about him moved. He looked oiled, pistoned, grooved. A long-range fighter, heady and cool, no longer a champ, but nobody's fool. By contrast, Gray, stocky, square, built to stand up under wear and tear. A plain fighter, blunt. He stood square to the front, crouching a little, ready to hit, like a pile driver with either mitt. None of your fancy tripe? A slugger, that was his type. He stood there solid, narrow-eyed, head rocking, feet wide, moving each hand a little bit, waiting his chance to close and hit. They circled a moment, getting acquainted. Pansy hitched up his left, fainted. Nothing stirring, he feinted his right. Still nothing stirring, the sailor held tight. Pansy relaxed, sprang suddenly, led, his left flashed up to the sailor's head. It caught Gray by surprise. He shook his head, blinked his eyes. He crouched, circled each fist. He sprang in, struck, missed. Pansy's left snapped up like a whip. Gray backed off with a broken lip. "Watch that left," a voice admonished. Gray scowled, sullen, astonished. The admonishing voice served to let loose a shower of cracks, advice, abuse.
Come on there, Gray. What do you say?
That left ain't nothing. Brush that away.
Go on there, Pansy.
You're all right.
They're into the sailor.
Show some fight.
Yelled the high, sarcastic wit.
Slap him on the wrist and be done with it.
Laughter. Then suddenly,
there he goes.
The sailor rushed, took one on the nose, hooked left, hooked right, short, vicious blows. A flurry of cheers rose. Pansy backed off, wary, alert. One arm felt numb, his left side hurt. 160 pounds? Like hell. Somebody lied. That hook in the side hurt like 170 flat. That was Gray's weight, or more than that. 160 pounds, like hell. His left snapped up. Gray rushed. The bell. 13. Pansy sat in his corner. Louis and Max hovered above him, attentive with bent backs. He was breathing easy, hardly beginning to sweat. So far, so good. He didn't need them yet. They gave him the bottle. The water was warm, stale. He gargled a mouthful, spat it out in the pail. Max rubbed a bath towel over his face and head.
How do you feel? Do you feel okay?
Max said. Yeah, said Pansy. Yeah, I feel okay. He nodded a little. He sat there staring at Gray. Max cleared his throat.
You're going good tonight.
Yeah, said Louis. You want to throw in your right. Hook with that left and throw in the right too. Play for his head. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, said Max. That left hook worries him. See? Play for his face and let the body be.
Pansy nodded, silent. He didn't feel right. There was something he didn't like about this fight. He stared at Gray, and Gray stared back at him, eyes like slits, face expressionless, grim. The crowd chattered.
The nigger's good.
Ah, nuts. That left. A hell of a lot of ice that cuts. That sailor ain't much.
The sailor ain't going yet.
You wait. Ah, nuts. Yeah, what do you want to bet?
One gallery fan was a grubby, oldish man. A small man, seedy-looking, puffy-cheeked. His eyes watered, his nose was red, and it leaked. His collar was held in the front by a safety pin. He seemed alone, and his breath reeked of gin. He turned to the stranger beside him. He borrowed a light.
Some fight,
he said to the stranger.
Yes, sir, some fight.
The stranger said nothing. He eyed the borrower askance, but the small man wanted to talk, and he took a chance.
Yes, sir, he said. You see that nigger down there? That's Pansy Jones.
He paused with a speechless air, as though he expected the stranger to say, Hell no, Pansy Jones, you're kidding. It can't be so. The stranger said nothing. His manner was cold at best. He eyed the seedy man as one eyes a pest.
Yes, sir,
the pest went on.
Yes, sir, I know. That nigger was good as hell 10 years ago. Last time I saw him fight was, let me see, back in 15. He knocked out Billy McGee. Knocked him out in the 5th, a left to the jaw. Yes, sir, a prettier fighter you never saw. Knocked him cold and didn't even take a scratch. Yes, sir,
he puffed, frowning.
You got a match?
The stranger passed the box back over his shoulder. His jaws were set, and his ears had begun to smolder. The stump was relit. It wobbled. Some sparks fell. The small man brushed them off.
Yes, sir.
The bell. 14.
Come on now, sailor.
Come on.
Let's go.
Come on, that black boy. Knock him for a row.
The voices snapped out, staccato, tense. Faces grew hard, blank with suspense. Butts smoldered, forgotten, in half-raised hands. The smoke leaked from them in thin gray strands. The figures in the ring looked hard, bright, glazed by the savage glare of light. They circled. Pansy broke the ice. His left snapped up, briskly, twice. Gray rushed. Pansy danced away.
Ah, go on. Get to him, Gray.
Jesus Christ, what do you say?
Watch that left. Come on, let's go. Block that left.
Jesus, just slow.
What the hell are you waiting for?
Gray's eyes glittered. He was getting sore. His fists circled. He crouched to attack. Pansy hooked. Gray's head jerked back, and just as it jerked, Pansy let fly with a hard, straight right to the sailor's eye. The crowd yelled. Gray crouched, covered. Pansy danced back out of range, hovered.
Go on, nigga, you got him now. That right nailed him. Christ, what a slough. Go on, black boy, throw in that right.
The sailor's yellow.
The gob can't fight.
The sailor snarled. Splotches of red showed on his face. He swayed his head. He began to edge forward, ominous, slow. His fists circled, and he crouched low. Pansy backed off, narrow-eyed, fainting, dancing from side to side. Watch it now. His nerves grew taut. He didn't want to get caught. His eyes were glued on that head of gray, swaying there 4 feet away, glued on those shoulders, those circling fists, close together on heavy wrists. Pansy paused, his left smacked again. Off he backed. Gray crouched lower, shaking his head. His right ear turned slowly red. The crowd grew restless.
Go on and fight. Go on, sock him. Don't take all night.
Go on, for Christ's sake, use that glove. What the hell are you scared of?
What game is that you're playing, Red Rover? Why don't yous lay down and talk it over?
Slap, slap, went Pansy's left. He backed away, swift, deft. Gray's chest swelled, his shoulders humped, his head stopped swaying, in he jumped. A yell from the crowd.
There he goes!
There came the dull thump of blows. Pansy chopped, missed. Gray's head slid under his wrist. Pansy swung left before he could block. Something jolted his ribs like a rock. His insides thumped like a drum. His ribs grew suddenly numb. A wrist flashed up, grazed his ear. He shot in his right and sprang out clear.
Go on, sailor!
Go on, Gray! Don't let him get away!
Gray swerved quickly, crouched, sprang. The bell gave a sudden clang. 15. Pansy walked to his corner, sat down on the stool. They gave him the bottle. The water tasted cool. He was sweating now. He could feel his heart pump, and his head throbbed, echoed that steady thump. They squeezed the sponge on his head. It was cool and wet. It trickled down, turned warm, and mixed with the sweat. Pansy leaned back. He stretched his legs out wide. He breathed in deep. He winced. It hurt his side. That last one he stopped had hurt him pretty bad. Christ on a raft, what a sock that sailor had. He was fast, too. Faster than you'd have thought. Just a little bit faster, and he'd have got caught. Max cleared his throat. He said, "You're going great. That sailor ain't much. He swings like a rusty gate."
Yeah, said Louis. Yeah, you're going good. That right got him just like I said it would. Keep throwing that right, and mix in an uppercut.
Pansy nodded, unhearing. His eyes were shut. In the opposite corner, a crisis came up. Gray sat in his corner, sore as a pup.
Yeah,
he sneered.
Don't do him no dirt. That's fine for Tony. He don't get hurt. Don't do him no dirt. To hell with that. This round, I knock that nigger flat. No more of this fooling around. I'm through, and if Tony don't like it, he knows what to do.
Ah, said Sam. Don't get so sore. What the hell are you sore for? You done like Morelli told you to. You laid off 2 rounds, and now you're through. The nigger ain't hurt you. He knows what's what. He'll take what he gets and keep his trap shut. You played it good, just like you were told. Now be yourself and knock him cold.
Snarled Gray. You shut your mouth. The bell rang. He rose, rushed out. 16. The crowd roared.
Go get him, Gray! Tear into him, sailor, that's the way!
Now you're talking.
The roar died. Pansy swung right. He danced aside. His left hooked up. Gray shook his head. His upper lip was smeared blood red.
Go on, sailor!
Go there, Gray!
Don't let him get away!
The crowd sat hushed. The sailor rushed. Again the roar rose. The roar sank. Pansy hooked left. He dodged off on his toes.
Ah, for Christ's sake, come on, Gray!
Don't let the nigger fool you that way!
Come on, what do you say?
Blood ran down the sailor's chin. His teeth gleamed. He sprang in. He socked. Pansy blocked. Ropes on his left. He swung to the right, dodging away, swift, light. Gray crouched down, swaying his head. His eyes flared.
Come on,
he said.
Come on, you nigger bastard mix. None of your goddamn monkey tricks.
Pansy grinned, savage, mocking. He backed away on his toes, rocking. His heart was pounding. His breath came fast. The pace was too hot. He couldn't last. He knew it, but he was game. He'd take whatever came. This Gray guy thought he could knock him out. He'd give Gray something to think about. He sprang before the sailor could cover. His left hooked up, and his right flashed over. Back he jumped, but his foot slipped. He went off balance, and in Gray ripped. Pansy covered. He was in for it now. He staggered back onto balance somehow. He twisted, blocked, chopped at Gray's head. He felt Gray's fists thump in like lead. Swiftly they thumped, and his body shook, jarred by the impact of every hook. A glove flashed up, missed his jaw by an inch. Swiftly he crouched, slid forward to clinch. He trapped Gray's left. Suddenly he felt a swift, sharp pain below the belt. He grunted, flinched, but he hung on tight, trying to tie up the sailor's right.
Watch those low ones,
Pansy said.
Snarled Gray. Go soak your head.
The sailor's right arm rose, crooked. Down into Pansy's kidneys it hooked. Up it came, down it fell, regular, swift, and it hurt like hell. Pansy's head lay out of harm, his ear pressed Gray's left upper arm. He stared unseeing at the canvas floor. Dimly he heard the crowd roar. Somewhere above, out of sight, his left arm wrestled with the sailor's right. He had it now. He had it tied. They wheeled, swaying from side to side. Gray tugged and shoved. God, he was strong. He wasn't going to stay tied up long. The referee's hand smacked Pansy's back. They broke. Gray crouched for another attack. Pansy fell back in a wary retreat. No dancing now. He stood flat on his feet. That rush had got him. His lungs felt hot. His heart was jerking and his guts were shot.
Go on, sailor.
You got him, Gray.
Tear into him, sailor.
That's the way.
Go on, sailor.
Knock him out.
The voices blurred in a steady shout. The sweat poured down into Pansy's eyes. He blinked. Gray rushed. He sprang sidewise. The sailor went by like a 10-ton truck, and Pansy hooked one in his side for luck. Back Pansy shuffled. The sailor stopped. He wheeled, pointed. His head dropped. Gray crouched, sniffed. His glove rose. He passed it swiftly under his nose. Blood was smeared across one cheek. Blood on his chin made a crooked streak. The back of his glove was smudged with red. He sniffed again, shaking his head. He glared at Pansy. What in Christ's name was this nigger trying? What was the game? Nigger bastard, too goddamn gay. How the hell did he get that way? The roar dwindled. The roar died. Deep groans came from every side.
Ah, sailor.
Christ on a log. Go after him, sailor. Snap out of your fog.
Go on, sailor. Make it quick.
The sailor can't fight. He's seasick.
Go on. Stop wearing out that ring.
Charge them rent.
Can the sailor sing?
Go on, you plumber in the red and black tights.
This is the way the Navy fights.
Well,
A sudden shrill voice said.
guess I'll go home and go to bed.
Heavy laughter, applause. You could see Gray set his jaws. He started for Pansy, wary, intent, ready to jump the way Pansy went. His teeth were showing, his eyes were half shut. He'd catch that nigger and break his gut. The crowd watched, skeptical, jeering. They spat, they snorted, they sat back sneering. Gray stopped, he fainted, went in like a shot. Pansy stood there, rooted to the spot. Pansy was watching. He saw the rush come, but his legs didn't move. His brain seemed numb. For a second, he stood surprised, motionless, paralyzed. Then all of a sudden, he clicked. Too late. The sailor hit him like a train of freight. Pansy crumpled. He staggered back under that swift, savage attack. His head dropped, his guts went in. He bent at the middle like a twisted pin. Gray's fist drove up like a battering ram. Pansy saw double. His head swam. He sagged at the knees. His arms fell. The crowd stood up, roared. The bell. 17. Pansy slouched to his corner, flopped. His eyes shut. His head dropped. Everything whirled. He felt sick. He opened his eyes again, quick. Hard, bright, savage light. The ring tilted. He held on tight. His ears buzzed. His head rumbled. Far away, voices mumbled. A blurred hand with a bottle rose. The bottle came to rest, pressed, with its top under his nose. His nose burned with a sharp smell. He sniffed, scowled. It smelled like hell. "Nix," he mumbled. He squirmed. He tried to jerk his head aside. The buzz in his ears disappeared. The ring stood level. His head cleared. "All right," he muttered. "Take that away." "Okay," said Louis's voice. "Okay." Sponge on his head. The water trickled down the back of his neck and tickled. Sponge on his heart. Cool, sweet. His heart slowed its furious beat. The numbness was going. His body ached, throbbed with pain. His throat was baked. "Drink," he muttered. The bottle tipped. He sucked at the water, greedy-lipped. He swallowed a mouthful. smacked his lips. It seemed to spread to his fingertips. God almighty, it felt swell. He sighed, leaned back. His eyelids fell. Max pulled the top of his trunks away, held them, giving his guts free play. Louis slipped the sponge down where the foul had struck and held it there.
Okay,
Louis said. Pansy nodded his head. He felt lousy. He felt drowsy. His head rolled he could hardly keep himself from falling asleep. Louis and Max exchanged a look. They were pessimistic. Their heads shook. Not so good, that look implied. They stared at Pansy narrow-eyed. The crowd threw out a deep-toned sound like water rushing underground. The smoke rose, swam, drifted, faces bobbed, swung, shifted, butts glowed, matches flared, the eyes above them flashed, glared. Pansy's chest lifted and fell. He lay back waiting, dreading the bell. The rest wasn't long enough. He didn't feel strong enough to last much longer. He was tired as hell. His arms were heavy. His shoulders felt sore. He let his arms dangle. His gloves brushed the floor. The hands in the gloves felt hot, bloated. The leather felt slippery, sweat-coated.
Well,
said Max, you're going good. He glanced at Louis. They understood.
Yeah, said Louis. You're going swell. Keep throwing that right. And don't...
The bell. 18. Max and Louis got down off the ring. They parked the stuff they were carrying. They sat down, stared at the ring overhead.
Say, you got a butt?
Max said. Louis handed over his pack. Max took one. He handed them back. He fumbled for a match below his sweater. He straightened a little to see better.
The nigga's cooked, said Louis. He frowned. That sailor will finish him up this round.
Max blew a thin blue stream of smoke.
Yeah, he said. The nigga's broke. He can't take what the sailor gave him. Nothing but a lucky punch can save him.
Yeah, said Louis. That's my hunch. His only chance is a lucky punch.
Yeah, nigga's too damn old.
They nodded. Their faces were hard, cold. A roar rose.
There he goes!
The roar sank. They sat hushed. You could hear Gray's feet thud as he rushed.
Jeez, said Max. What do you know? Look at the nigga. Look at him go!
Pansy's legs spread wide. He snapped to one side. The sailor missed before he could stop. Pansy whirled, spun like a top. His shoulders humped, and in he jumped, hitting like hell with his left and right. The crowd yelled at the sight.
Knock him out! Knock him out!
The air shook with that savage shout. Mouths snarled, eyes blazed. They popped from flaming faces, glazed. Gray staggered, stumbled, fell. The crowd rose with a sharp yell. In between sprang the referee. Pansy fell back. Gray crouched on one knee. Gray jumped up. His face was red. He crouched to rush, swaying his head. If Pansy had hurt him, you'd never know it. Nothing about him seemed to show it. Louis and Max exchanged a glance.
Well, said Max, there goes his chance.
They shrugged a little. They sat back. Louis shook out a butt from his pack.
Yeah,
said Louis.
The nigga's through.
He struck a match on the sole of his shoe.
He's tired now, too tired to run. If the sailor rushes him now, he's done.
Pansy knew what was coming, too. He stood there panting, with legs wide spread, staring at the top of the sailor's head. Watch it now. Get ready to block. Gray rushed. The crowd saw Pansy rock, stagger back from the shock. The crowd roared, yelped with delight as Gray hooked home his left and right. A pimply youth with greasy hair and no chin sprang from his chair. His face was convulsed, his eyes popped out, his voice was a raucous shout.
Break the nigga's face! Break it! Suck him, sailor, he can't take it!
Behind the pimply youth there sat a heavy man in a derby hat. His nose was broken, one eye black. He sneered at the youth's back. He folded his arms, contemptuous, placid. He spoke to the youth, and his voice was acid. Shut your trap, for Christ's sake. He's taken more than you'll ever take. The youth jerked around to see who had spoken. He saw his spirit seemed suddenly broken. The derbied one spoke with a menacing frown. Sit down, before I knock you down. You loudmouth bastard, you make me sick. The youth collapsed. He sat down quick. The crowd was yelping.
Sock him, Gray!
Finish him, sailor!
That's the way!
Back Pansy went. You could see him flinch. He twisted, desperate, trying to clinch. Louis and Max's eyes met. Each of them ground out his cigarette. One reached for the pail, the other for the towel. Max whistled suddenly.
Look at that foul!
Look at that, Louis! 2 in a row! Jesus! The sailors landed him low!
Pansy spoke to the referee, and he hopped. The roar stopped. The crowd craned necks to see. The referee elbowed Gray aside.
Well,
he snapped, stony-eyed. Pansy tapped with his glove to show where the sailor's blows had struck in low.
2,
said Pansy. The sailor scowled.
Nuts,
he snarled.
The hell I fouled.
Yelled a voice.
Go on and fight! Don't stand there talking about it all night!
The crowd's voice had an angry sound. They hissed. Their feet began to pound. The referee turned to Gray, severe.
Watch that fouling, Gray. You hear?
The referee hopped back out of the way.
All right, he snapped. What do you say?
Gray's head began to sway. He crouched, rushed. His right went wide. They clenched. He hammered at Pansy's side.
Nigger bastard,
the sailor growled. He hammered as he spoke.
Say I fouled. You would ya? You would snitch. You double-crossing son of a bitch. You double-crossing bastard, you. I'll get you for that when this bout is true. Just you wait till after this fight. You'll get what's coming to you. All right.
He snarled. He wrenched his left arm clear. The heel of his glove ripped Pansy's ear.
Bastard,
muttered Gray. He slung Pansy away. Pansy staggered back, amazed for a second or two. He felt dazed. What the hell was all this about? He had no time to figure it out. Double-crossing son of a bitch? Pansy's mouth began to twitch. His eyes narrowed, blazed. The sailor stiffened. His chest swelled.
There he goes,
the crowd yelled. Pansy covered. He tried to duck, but Gray had nailed him. He was out of luck. The air seemed suddenly blurred with fists flashing at him on dim white wrists. He felt them strike. He seemed to grow numb. To hell with those fists. Let them come. The blows seemed far away and dull. An engine was whirring inside his skull. The ring whirled. His legs felt tight. Everything seemed to grow blurred and bright. He lost his balance. He hung in space. The floor sprang up and hit him in the face. He stared at the floor, surprised. His brains were paralyzed. He shook his head. A voice said, 4! His brain clicked. He was on the floor. He had to get up and do it quick. He got on one knee. He felt sick. He had to get up. His upper teeth gnawed at the lower lip beneath. 5! said the voice, far away. He had to get up and get this Gray. Blood on the floor, a scarlet smear, savage pain in his right ear. He crouched, looked up. There stood Gray, watching, sneering, 10 feet away. Gray's face swam in a haze of red. Pansy snarled. He shook his head. A shiver ran through him like a hot chill. His face twitched. He wanted to kill. 6! said the voice. His ears rang. Something inside him snapped. He sprang. No boxing now. To hell with that. He leaped in, striking like a savage cat. He felt Gray's fists thawed into him. Gray's face faded. The ring grew dim. Blindly he struck, trusting to luck. Suddenly his right struck something hard. He staggered. His wrist and elbow were jarred. He struck again, hit air. He stumbled into the ropes, clung there. Now let it come. To hell with it all. To hell with the works. He wanted to bawl. No air in his lungs. He felt drowned. His ears were filled with a roaring sound. His heart pumped, thumped. His knees sagged. He slumped. His eyes shut. His head sank low. A voice was counting, far off, slow.
2,
said the voice.
3, 4.
He opened his eyes, stared at the floor. They stung, parched with heat. The floor swayed at his feet.
5,
said the voice.
6.
His eyes were playing him tricks. On the floor of the ring, a figure lay, face down, unmoving. It looked like gray. He clung to the ropes. He waited, stared, fascinated.
9, 10.
The counting stopped. For half a second, a silence dropped.
And out!
Snapped a voice. In that hushed pause, the crowd rose, roaring applause. Seconds seemed to spring from nowhere into the ring. Pansy clung to the ropes, dazed. His arm was seized at the wrist, raised. The crowd clapped, cheered, clamored. His arm dropped, the bell hammered.
Come on,
said Max into Pansy's ear.
Let's get the hell away from here.
End of Section 5. Section 6 of The Setup by Joseph Moncure March. The dressing room was a hot box. Pansy sat there holding his socks. The air was stagnant, foul, thick. The reek of liniment made him sick. He sat there, bent, spent. The room was deserted, looking bare. There was only just the three of them there. Kovinsky and gang were up at his bout. Everyone else had gotten out. Max and Louie were through. They'd done all they could do. They'd rubbed him down long and good. They'd patched his ear as well as they could. He still felt lousy, they didn't doubt it, but what the hell could they do about it? God, with a beating like he had got, a cast-iron set of guts would be shot. They were hanging around for a minute or so, impatient, restless, ready to go. Max looked at his watch. He rubbed his chin. Well, he began. Morelli rushed in. 2. His grin was gone. His face was white. The muscles in his jaws stood rigid, tight. He stared at Pansy with a glittering look. He pointed at him, and his hand shook.
You crooked nigger bastard,
he said. His voice was dead, cold, like lead. He paused, overcome. His mouth worked. He was dumb. Pansy straightened, stiffened as he sat. What the hell do you mean by that? The words clicked out like flint. His eyes began to glint. Morelli grinned as a skull grins. The grin seemed fastened there by pins.
None of that stuff. You know what I mean. Don't pull that stuff. I ain't so green. I know when I'm double-crossed, see? You don't get away with that stuff with me.
A pause, then Pansy shook his head.
I don't know what you mean, he said.
Nah, sneered Morelli.
You don't know. Ain't you the innocent bastard, though? This wasn't the sailors' fight. Oh, no. Nobody ever told you so. Not at all. You never got your $20, of course not.
Pansy couldn't grasp what he meant. The stuff was over his head like a tent. $20? No such luck. He hadn't gotten a goddamn buck. Pansy's voice was low. The words came careful, slow. Mr. Morelli, you done got mixed. I didn't know how this fight was fixed. That $20 must got mislaid. Why for you say I done got paid?
'Cause Cohen and MacPhail said so. That's why.
Pansy got sore. That's a goddamn lie. I never got nothing. And that's flat. Nothing. And gives your ma word on that.
What the hell good is your lousy word, you goddamn nigger jailbird?
Pansy jumped up, stepped forward a pace. Get out of here, or I'll break your face. His voice had an ugly ring. His fists rose, menacing. Morelli's swift, vicious reply was to draw back a fist and let it fly. His ring cut Pansy below the eye. Pansy let rip with a right from the hip. The blow smashed square on Morelli's face. He took a fast, short trip through space. He hit the floor flat, up he bounced like a cat. An angry red splotch marked the place where Pansy's fist had smashed his face. His hands rose, covered the spot. He turned, made for the door like a shot. His shoulder hit the side of the door. He staggered back, swore. He stopped, whirled about. He thrust a finger out.
I'll get you for this. Just wait, that's all.
He turned. He dashed out into the hall. 3. Louis whistled. He waggled his jaw.
Jesus, did you see what I saw?
Max frowned. He swung around. Pansy, you better look out for that wop. A wop don't never know when to stop. Look out for a wop when he's mad like that. He's crazy, see? Crazy as a bat.
That's right, Max, Louis agreed. A wop fights dirty, I know that breed. Watch out for Tony. After that crack, that wop'll stick a knife in your back.
Yeah, said Pansy. His face was grim. Let him try. I ain't scared of him. Well, said Max, it's you, not me. But watch your step, I'm telling you, see? Pansy seemed to be unimpressed. He pulled out his clothes. He began to get dressed. They watched him a minute, silent, blinking. Their faces grew hard as they stood there thinking. Then Max shrugged. He looked away. Hey, Louis, what does your watch say? Louis looked.
I got 18 past.
Max pulled out his. You must be fast. My watch says only 10 after 10.
Well, why the hell did you ask me then?
Let's beat it, Louis. What do you say?
Yeah, let's make a getaway. Jesus, hot as hell down here. Let's go up to Herman's and get a beer.
Okay with me, I got a thirst. Beer and a sandwich. Liverwurst. They turned to Pansy. So long, kid. You done fine.
I'll say you did.
You better go home and get to bed. Pansy grinned, nodded his head. So long, he said. See you some more. They turned. He watched them stroll through the door. 4. They vanished. Pansy sat alone. A silence dropped like the silence of stone. The echo of a roar swelled, died. The silence rushed back from every side. Heavy, dense, implacable, immense. Pansy pulled on a shoe. He sighed. He stared at the shoe, preoccupied. A window rattled. He jumped at the sound. His head rose. He peered around. White walls, cracked, scarred. Closed windows, black, barred. Out on the sill, a dim scrap of dirty paper began to flap. Again the roar echoed, died. The silence returned, magnified. He stared at the door. It was dark out there. The shadows baffled his steady stare. He cocked his head, listened. The whites of his eyes glistened. Silence. He rose. His shadow sprang tall, stood huge before him against the wall. A board creaked in the floor. He started back, swore. He grinned to himself. The grin was sickly. He put on the rest of his clothes quickly. He wrapped his togs, he buttoned his coat, he tightened the muffler around his throat. He put on his cap and pulled it low. He picked up his parcel and started to go. At the door, he stopped dead. Slowly, he stuck out his head. A roar from upstairs. It echoed, died. Silence. He stiffened. He stepped outside. 5. He walked swiftly. The dark hall echoed every footfall. He reached a red light caged in wire. Above, red buckets labeled fire. He stopped. He looked back. The hall behind lay black. His teeth chattered. With a chill, he listened. The hall was still. He started again. The floor creaked. Rats raced through the walls, squeaked. They rattled around in the loose plaster. He licked his lips. He walked faster. He reached the stairs. Up he went, 2 at a time, swift, bent. He got to the door. He stopped. His hand rose, dropped. He stood a moment, as if in doubt, then swung the door open and stepped out. 6. The street was cold, misty, damp, dimly lit by a blurred lamp. Around the lamp post stood a dim group of figures waiting, grim. Pansy's heart jumped. The door behind him thumped. He spotted Morelli. He spotted Gray. He turned quickly, started away.
"There he goes,"
a voice said.
"There's the nigger. Come ahead."
Pansy pretended he hadn't heard. He kept on going without a word. The feet behind him quickened their stride. 2 figures ranged alongside.
"Hey, what the hell is your hurry?"
They started to jostle, elbow, worry.
"Cut it out,"
Pansy mumbled. A foot tripped him. He staggered, stumbled. He lurched into someone. A voice swore, said,
"What the hell are you pushing me for?"
"Sock the nigger,"
another one said. A fist thudded against his head. His arms rose on guard. He whirled. He struck out hard.
"Cheese it,"
snapped someone.
"Cheese it, the cop!"
They paused. They let their fists drop. The cop came up, burly, severe.
"What the hell goes on here?"
No one answered. The cop scowled.
"Break this up, yous guys,"
he growled.
"Move on, see, and make it quick."
His chest swelled. He twirled his stick. Pansy didn't trust the law. Cops shot at everything they saw. He walked away. He was scared to run. He thought the cop might pull his gun. He was getting close to a cross street. The gang was behind him. He heard their feet. He was all right while the cop was in sight, but once he turned a corner, good night. He broke out in a cold sweat. Jesus, that bunch would get him yet. He reached the corner a block to the right. He saw 1 blue, 1 yellow light. The subway. Christ, could he make it? A chance. He'd have to take it. Empty street. 10 to 1. A panic hit him. He started to run.
"Grab him!"
He heard a voice yell.
"Get that nigger!"
He ran like hell. 7. Steep stairs. White tiles. Bare lights. Turnstiles. Express platform. Gray. Dusty. Cold air. Sharp. Musty. Vaulted ceiling. Dismal light. Square pillars. Black and white. A few frozen figures tramped up and down, shuffled, stamped, cold drafts from ventilators, sighed around the restless waiters. Dirty papers flapped, the dust streamed, swirled at each gust. Empty tracks, no sound. A klaxon whooped above ground. Its high, snarling note was muffled, faint, remote. 8. Suddenly a turnstile clattered. Voices yelled, feet pattered. Down the stairs Pansy came, face convulsed, eyes aflame. He rushed down, wheeled about, to the edge of the platform and leaned out. The tunnel was black, empty, blank. Pansy gulped. His heart sank. He stared. Far down along the track, 2 lights appeared against the black. He listened. He heard a faint humming. His heart jumped. An express was coming. The lights seemed to grow clearer, nearer. 1 light green, 1 light red. Feet on the stairs, he turned his head. There they came. His throat grew tight. His heart raced with fright. They crowded towards him.
"Well,"
sneered Gray,
"think you were gonna get away?"
Pansy's face grew suddenly grim. His jaw set. It was them or him. They saw his hand slip to the pocket over his hip. His fist rose, menacing, black. A razor glittered across its back.
"Come on,"
he said. They eyed the blade. They shrank back, afraid. The razor glittered, the razor gleamed. Far down the tracks a whistle screamed. Savage, hoarse. The air split with its force. Low thunder. The rail shivered. The air trembled. The platform quivered. Morelli gave his pants a hitch.
"Let's get the nigger son of a bitch."
"Sure," said the sailor.
"Come on, let's go. You hit him high, I'll hit him low."
They crouched, sprang. The razor flashed, slashed at Morelli's face, gashed. Morelli yelped. A thin red streak rapidly widened across his cheek. He clapped his hand to his face, staggered back a pace. Gray and Pansy locked. They swung, wrestled, rocked.
Look out for the edge.
Look out there, Gray.
The sailor suddenly wrenched away. Pansy spun. He staggered back. He tottered on the edge. He crashed to the track. The tunnel roared. The whistle screamed. Over the tracks, light streamed. They turned their heads so as not to see. Pansy hitched up onto one knee, blood on his face, dripping red, crooked one arm around his head. He crouched, ready to duck. The train screeched and struck. End of section 6, and end of the setup by Joseph Moncure March. Read by Ben Tucker.